77. That is the number of NBA champions in history. That has come from 20 different franchises, but only 5 of those teams have won back-to-back championships in the last 30 years. MJ and the Bulls, Shaq and Kobe's Lakers, Kobe's 08 Lakers, LeBron's Miami Super Team, and finally, KD and the Warriors. All that to show it's not easy to go back-to-back. You need to be a generational team. So what makes you think that the Boston Celtics can do it? They haven't done it for 55 years. So let me tell you why 55 will become 56. Hi, my name is Rotimi. I love basketball. I love to talk basketball, and I hope one day you can share that same love for basketball as I. Let's start with the stats that no one can deny. When you compare the duo of Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum to the other back-to-back duos in the last 30 years, simply on points per game, on face value, it looks like they can compete. On simple points production, we see that they beat out MJ and Pippen. They also beat out Kobe and Gasol. But they're even very close to the combination of the deadly KD and Steph Curry's Golden State. If you were to leave the stat check at just points per game, you would think that these two are in back-to-back shape. But when you look at the player efficiency metric, things start to change. A PER stat is a metric that rates each player's statistical performance and puts it into one number, simply measuring their contributions. When you combine all the duo's PER numbers and then rank them, you'll notice that Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum finish last. They are 6 out compared to the next lowest, which is the 08 Lakers, and 14 out to the best duo ever in Shaq and Kobe. You even notice by ranking the individual PER stats, the better of the two, Jason Tatum, still struggles to compete against the other duo's second options, which is actually kind of funny considering that he actually wasn't the one who got MVP. It was the other guy. So you can already see that the statistical contributions don't compare to those who have gone back-to-back. But what if we looked at their contributions to winning? Surely that could change. Well, when you look at the Winshare metric that highlights specifically a player's contribution to winning, you see that the contribution from their stars is simply not enough. If they were to go back-to-back, they would be the weakest duo to ever do it. When I combine the win shares, you automatically understand why they are out of the mix. Individually, you'll notice Jaylen Brown, the finals MVP, is actually at a 5.9 win share, which means he was never actually ever meant to win that award. So, the first thing the Celtics need to do if they want a chance to go back-to-back is replace him with someone better than Tatum. But enough about the stars, let's talk about the others, which brings me to team's health. In 2023, the Celtics made a genius trade, moving away Marcus Smart in a 3-way deal with the Grizzlies and the Wizards to acquire Kristaps Porzingis. But why were people skeptical? Well, it's no secret that Kristaps Porzingis has a history of injuries. His legs are literally made of glass. I don't know what people expected when a 7-foot stick entered the league and there were still bruises running around. Here are a list of injuries that Kristaps Porzingis has experienced since entering the league. In his career, he has missed over 200 plus games. In fact, one of them was an entire season due to an ACL injury. We can all agree that last year he was their X factor. He rounded out their roster. He allowed them to play 5 out and create unlimited spacing on the court, all whilst applying pressure from all 3 levels on offense, but most importantly on defense, he was still able to protect the rim. That's why they gave him the nickname the Unicorn when he entered the league. He shot 38% from a normal spot-up 3, but 45% from a pick-and-pop situation. If the Celtics want to compete next season, they will need to make sure that his health is in check. Without him, they won't be able to play the unguardable basketball they played in the finals. How healthy can the Celtics be next season will be a question on everybody's minds, considering that Tatum, White, and Holiday played more games than anyone else in the NBA last season due to the Olympics. Just a quick one about health. The health of my channel could be a lot better if you subscribed. Please, down below, thanks. Assuming that every team in the East is healthy next season, I believe the 76ers and the Bucks have a very strong chance of knocking off the C's. With the addition of PG to the 76ers, all they have done is put themselves in a winning situation. Not only that, but if you look at their bench, you'll see that they have a complete roster in every single position. They have a deep roster, which is both balanced with offense and defense. Embiid will likely be in MVP form, and against the C's, he is the worst matchup because they don't really have anyone to guard him. I have spoken about Kristaps Porzingis being probably one of the better centers in the league, but I don't think he even has a chance stopping Embiid. Embiid is an unstoppable, dominant force with skills. Second, they have solid 2-way wings. Paul George, Kelly Oubre, and Caleb Martin. They are solid matchups against the Celtic stars in Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. Off the bench, they have a Reggie Jackson and Eric Gordon, who are spark plugs that will automatically propel their bench into the top 5 in the league. Last year, the Sixers found themselves with a bench that finished mid-table. But this year, with the corrections and the adjustments made in the offseason, they have a chance to have the best bench in the entire NBA. Oh yeah, and Tyrese Maxey, just don't sleep on him. That's all I have to say. When it comes to the Bucks, I'm not counting out Giannis and Dame. Giannis, we know, is a bulldozer who can't be stopped. He is literally Shaq with faster wheels. Crazy. His dominance has been proven to stop the Celtics in previous playoffs, and you can't count him out next season. I've also seen him working on that new jumper, and he's never going to be a sharp shooter, but it might be something to fear. The real threat is Dame. Last year, he joined the Bucks unfit, and with Giannis' injury, it never gave them an opportunity to properly gel. Even when Drew Holiday and Dame match up, Dame will always be a threat. The combinations he can run with Giannis in the pick and roll are unlimited. And even when we saw Dame and Giannis clicking last season, we saw that they could dominate whoever was in front of them. The Celtics simply don't have an answer for these two, which is why they will always be a threat. Both of those teams are worthy threats on paper. And the Knicks are also a threat, but I don't have enough time to talk about them in this video. And who really cares until they prove it? They made a great trade for Karl-Anthony Towns, but I genuinely don't care right now. So far, I've spoken about injuries, and we all know that comes down to luck. But what about luck of the draw? We saw the Celtics have the easiest run to the finals. Now, that doesn't invalidate the fact that they won a championship, but it does leave us to question whether or not they can make the finals or even win the finals if they had tougher matchups. Luck plays a huge role in the playoffs, and it's simply taking it back to 2019 when the Raptors played Golden State in the finals. If it wasn't for a terrible injury for Kevin Durant or another terrible injury for Klay Thompson, I don't think the Raptors have a championship that is etched into history. And when we look at this playoffs, we see that the Celtics got lucky playing the Pacers in the Eastern Conference Finals. The Pacers played an injured Giannis and Dame, which allowed them to advance to the Eastern Conference semifinals. Then the Sixers played an injured Embiid, which meant that they lost to the Knicks in the first round, who then went on to the semifinals to play the Pacers. But in Game 7, Jalen Brunson, their star player, was injured, which led the 6th seed Pacers to the finals. The Pacers were never favorites in any of those matchups, but found themselves in the finals against the Celtics, who they weren't the favorites to beat again, and the Celtics were just healthy and well enough to beat them. There is a reason that their championship run was among the 3rd least viewed NBA finals in the last 20 years, because there wasn't really a challenge and people expected the C's to end up with the victory. The Mavs weren't a great matchup, but this year they might be. Which leads me to my final reason. Someone in the West. If the Celtics get all the way to the finals and they want to win a championship, they have to go through the West. And the West have made some nice moves. Starting with the Mavs, the addition of Klay Thompson has simply opened the floor with simple spacing. They have a certified 3rd option who can slot into their offense and create another option on offense, creating more player movement on the court. Their addition of Najee Marshall and Quentin Grimes are also strengthening their wing depth that they lost in Derrick Jones Jr. But to also create another option off the bench, they have Spencer Dinwiddie, who has played with Luka before. They were a better team than they were in the playoffs, and this time round, if they were to get to a finals against the Celtics, I believe they would put up a better fight. Many expected the Nuggets to get to the NBA Finals last season, but they weren't healthy. You see, the Nuggets are the Celtics' worst nightmare. They have a championship roster, and with the addition of Russell Westbrook, not only do they have the dynamism and energy off the bench, but a secondary point guard to help Jamal if he gets injured. They are still in their championship window, and against the Celtics, Jokic would wipe the floor with them. Last year they played against each other twice, and both times Jokic had more or less a 30-point triple-double. So if they were to play in the finals, who would be his answer? My favorite in the West is OKC. They have a system that mimics the Celtics. Chet will be in his 2nd year, automatically better. Shea is MVP caliber. And with their PER, the duo screams championship caliber. Most importantly, how unfair will their defense be? Adding Alex Caruso to Ludor and Jalen Williams, as I've said before, makes them the best perimeter defense in the league. A matchup with them in the finals is not what the C's want to see, especially considering what they can do on both ends. I think it'll be great basketball to watch, personally. And look, there are a few special mentions in the West. The Suns, they now have a pure point guard, which is going to help them create offense alongside KD and Booker. The Timberwolves, even after that trade, are still a violent threat with their ability to play defense, and with that special man, Anthony Edwards. Finally, the good old Lakers. LeBron might play out of his skin this season, especially with his son on his team, but also the change in management with JJ Redick as coach, I like that. The talk around the Celtics has mainly been around them being fueled for the upcoming season, after Jaylen Brown was left off the Olympic roster and Tatum was benched during the finals. People think that this is their revenge season, but there are 9 other teams that want vengeance. Could it be a back-to-back for the Celtics, the first since 1969? Or maybe last year was simply a fluke? Thank you very much for getting to the end of this video, guys. Trying out a new setup. If you like it, let me know down below. If you actually liked this video, just click the like button. But until next time.